Hey, greetings everyone. This is Tony Holowitz. Thank you for being here for this tutorial. So this tutorial is based on a question that was asked by a client. And I have a new client that's been using the Act desktop version for years, and they just transitioned to Act Premium Cloud. So what are some of the common questions when people are just getting started with Act Premium Cloud and have not been exposed to it yet? So one of the most common things is, how do you log in? So to log in, you go to my.act.com, my.act.com. When you go to log in, it's going to ask for your username, which is your email address, and your password. Now, those are things you would have set up prior to this. And if you haven't, reach out to me and I'll show you how to do that. Having said that, I'm going to click on log in. When I click on log in, I want you to observe that there's a drop down arrow here. Now, when you start your Act Premium Cloud account, there is a demo database that is inside of Act Premium Cloud. If you have uploaded your actual Act database, the working database that you've had for years, you're going to want to click on the drop down and select the proper database. Now, these database names can have sort of unusual names, so you just want to make sure you know which one it is. So in this case, I have a database called Cartoon 134. And I'm going to click on this. I'm going to click on Launch Act. Now, when I do that, it's going to open up Act. And when I get into Act, what I want you to observe is that it's gone to what's called the home screen. Now, in my experience, virtually no one goes here when they open up Act. What they do is they want to see their contacts. So over here on the left, there's an area where you can click on Contacts, Companies, and Groups. These are grouped together for convenience. So when we go in, I was expecting to see my contact, but I'm not seeing anything. I'm sort of seeing nothing. And if I sort of scroll through the contacts, you'll notice I don't see any contact information. And I actually had a client reach out to me on this issue because they were confused by this. It's actually fairly simple. I want you to observe there's a blue bar right here. And if I click on this blue bar, once I have the two-headed arrow, I can drag up and down to make the screen bigger or smaller. So that's one of the first things I want you to know. Also, you can zoom in or out by using the Control and the plus key or the Control and minus key to make it smaller. So you have a lot of real estate here you can work with if that's easy on the eye. What's great about Act Premium Cloud is you can adapt it to the type of computer you're on. If you're on a laptop, you might have to have certain settings for the screen size. If you're on a big desktop monitor, other settings. So you can work with this and deviate. It's great as our eyes get a little older and it's a little more difficult to see. So on that note, I'm going to go back up to make this work for me, and that looks good. But the other thing is, if your company has modified the layout, this is one of the standard Act layouts. So what you want to see is you want to see your layout. How do you do that? You come over here to the right of the Save button, click on these three dots, and these are all the layouts in your database. Now, your layout might have a unique name, and if that's the case, just click on it, and this will flip over to the layout in question. You'll notice that the basic contact layout has sort of a black background to it. That means that's the particular layout at the time that's been selected. So you might have to change the layout to get it to look like what you're familiar with. A lot of times, some people, like if you have employees, they don't even know the difference between the layouts, so you might have to inform them the name of the layout just so they can get to the correct one if you have a lot of different layouts in there. And the layout is what you see on the screen, all this information, and that can be customized. So that's one of the great things about Act. So let's go back to the home screen for a minute. Because we pretty much want to see the contact detail, there's a few things I'm going to ask you to do when you first log into your Act database. First, go up to Tools. When you go to Tools, you're going to go down and you're going to go to the Startup area, which is right down at the bottom under the Preferences. I could have also clicked on Preferences to isolate these items. I'm going to click on Startup. And when it starts up, I want to tell Act the view I want it to see when Act starts up. I'm going to click on the drop down and I'm going to choose Contact Detail. So the next time, instead of seeing that home screen, you see the contact detail instead. It goes right there. There are some other things you can do in here, but for now, I'm just going to leave it at that. So I'm going to click OK. And now the next time you start up Act, it will go right into the contacts area of Act. So you've got the layout, you've got the view you see when it first starts up. And one other thing that can have an impact, if you go to Tools and you look through some of the preferences, one thing you can do is change the date and time. Now, my client actually is in California, so they might have to change the time from Eastern time zone to Western time zone. Or if you have staff in multiple offices in multiple places, you want them to change the time zone as well. So just be aware of that. So that's the last thing related to some of the preferences. I'm going to click cancel. The next thing I want to show you that I think when you first start using this, it can be a little tricky is this. I'm going to go over to the contacts for just a moment. And you'll see in this particular database, I have 466 contacts. If you do a lookup of any type, if there's more than one contact in that lookup, what you're going to find is you're going to get what's called a list view. In the list view, when you're working with this, sometimes this can get a little confusing. You'll see I've got a lot of columns up here, a lot of pieces of information. Yours is going to look different than mine, most likely. You can add or subtract things you want to see. But the most important thing is I want you to observe that if a contact name is in a contact, and most contacts are going to have a contact, not just a company name, to get to that contact, you click on their actual name. So if I want to click on Goofy Anderson, again, this is the cartoon database, it takes me right there. If I want to get back to the list view, click here. Over here is something called company. I'm not going to get into that now, but I urge you, don't click on the company field for when you're getting started. Click on the contact name. If you click on the email address, it will initiate an email to this person at that address. So again, you want to focus on clicking on the contact information. So if I want Lucy Brown, I'm going to click on that, and it's going to take me to Lucy Brown's contact. The lookup is also a little bit different. I'm going to come up and click on lookup, and you're going to see the look and feel of this is different than what you're used to. Now, there's different areas in ACT. There's opportunities, there's groups, there's companies, and there's contacts. Because I'm in the contacts area, which most of you will be there, when you do a lookup, as I'm in the contact area, it will look up a contact. If I'm in the group area, it's going to look up the name of a specific group. So just be aware of the fact that when you do a lookup, when you're in the contacts, you can sort of ignore this first one. But what you do want is the field name. What field name is you want it? If it's the first name, click on that. You can choose, does it start with, does it contain, is it less than? What I usually do is contains, just because that gives us the broadest approach. I put Fred in there, and I'm going to click submit. So now here's my lookup. Now I can choose Fred Jetson, click on that, and I'm gone right to Fred Jetson. The last name is usually the best bet if you know it. If you're not sure, type the first 3 or 4 letters, and it will most likely find it. But this is another little change or subtle difference in the way you do lookups. Last but not least, if I want to do a lookup of a contact's name, I can right-click in that contact field, that's right here, and when I click on Lookup Contacts, it will take me to Contact automatically. Let me show you again how that works. Down here where it says Phone, if I right-click on that and go Lookup Contacts, it's going to assume because I'm in the phone field, I want to look up a phone number. So right-clicking in the field can help you do a lookup of that particular field. So these are just some of the getting started points that I want to make you aware of in 2026. These are some of the common questions that occur and what comes up. So by all means, don't hesitate to reach out to me if you have questions, but this is a good way to get started. And if you have any questions, throw them out to me because I like to record videos based on some of those questions to make it a learning process for everyone. Okay, my friends, you have a great day. Thank you so very much. Be well. Bye now.